Hi there.
Hi, welcome back to Curious Collection. I'm Will.
I'm Cinnamon.
So today we're going to talk about why you cannot quit your corporate job and start your own reselling business. So this is really going to apply to any type of business at all out there. You can't quit. You can't quit your corporate job. Everyone is going to tell you this. But the reality is that this is the new American dream. Everybody wants to be financially independent. They want to be rich and famous and wealthy and, driving the big cars and stuff. But the reality is that owning your own business is a lot of hard work.
Boy, that's real. Yeah.
It's the reality is it's typically a lot more work than what you're going to put into a regular 9-to-5 job, a regular corporate job. So, and then, there's people that are going to realize that you're not going to be rich and famous.
Yeah. I don't know that the rich and famous is really so much, but I think that independence, I think that so many people want to have some separation, and maybe spend more time with the family and not be dependent on someone else calling all the shots.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of different motivations as to why we would want to have our own business. But, the first thing that we're going to encounter and that we have encountered is naysayers. People are going to tell you, there's no way you can do this. It's impossible to quit that job.
Right.
There's so many different reasons that we've actually made a list, and we're going to try to address some of those reasons as we progress through the week. So we're going to make this a 4-part video, and we're going to talk about the different reasons that you can't quit your job and what we have done to overcome those. Because some of them are very real, some of them are emotional. So to begin with, people are going to tell you can't quit because they don't know how to do it themselves.
This is just the way that it's always been, so it's the way that it always has to be. You have to have a boss.
Right. And some people are going to tell you that you can't quit your job because they're jealous, or maybe they resent you, or maybe they're fearful for themselves because, if I don't know how to do it, then neither can you. People think, somehow that
they project their own lives onto other people. So if they've never had the courage to go outside of their comfort zone, then nobody else can either. And I think that's a big one.
Yeah. Another thing is that your boss is going to tell you can't quit. What?
Right.
Because they need you there.
Absolutely.
If your employer didn't need you, you wouldn't be there. That's the reality.
But the thing is, they're going to tell you, like, you can't put more work on the rest of the employees. Like, you can't get rehired. You can't.
Yeah. So they're going to play on your emotions. They're going to tell you all of these different things. You're going to make your coworkers work harder. You're going to be neglectful of, maybe your customers. So there's a lot of fear and doubt that your employer might put on you as you think about doing this. So
your coworkers.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that there have been times when I've been like, I'm going to go ahead and even just, changing positions, and your coworkers are going to be like, no, you can't leave. You can't leave me. You can't put all of this on me. Like, you can't make me find another coworker that I can work with, or, you know what I mean? So that's a big one.
It is a lot to deal with. One of the things that your employer might play on, or one of the insecurities that you might have, is that if I leave and I try to do this thing, I'm going to have a gap in my employment history.
Right. And that's real. Like, coming from HR background, like, if you see those gaps in employment, that is a red flag.
Right. Absolutely. Employers want to know, what have you been doing with yourself? Why would you leave a career for any duration and then come back to it? And of course, they're going to take a negative perception. It doesn't matter. And then another thing is that, a lot of times small business entrepreneur type, that work experience is not appreciated in the business place because it doesn't have a title associated with it. So, you're going to lose your title.
Yeah.
You're going to have to learn how to talk to people about who you are and what you're doing,
right? Because
without a title.
That's a big part of like shallow conversation is, well, what do you do? What's your title? What's your position?
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't respect small businesses.
Right. So one of the other things that we talked about is that you're going to lose your work friends. Whether they're friends or they're just acquaintances, you're going to end up building a totally different social structure around you. And that's okay. And so that's one of the things that I'd like to talk about right now is that you've got a work friend that you still make plans with, you still hang out.
I mean, it's once a month. We make sure that we have our once a month lunch date, and we text back and forth occasionally. It is hard because so often you're thrown into a situation with other people. So then you have those commonalities. So, you have those acquaintances, and I'm kind of introverted, but also extroverted at the same time. So I know. I like to have like, some of those conversations. I like to be around people sometimes, but at the same time, like I really like what we're doing and not having to be around all of those people all the time, because you can't choose your work people.
Right. And the reality is that we do, in our new job, in our new lives, we do
we run
make
into people
new friends
all the time.
and acquaintances, and whether it's business acquaintances or other types of people, you basically you rebuild your life, and so that can be very scary as well.
It is, yeah.
Another thing that people have worries about and are told that they can't start their own business because of business failure rate.
That's real.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look,
the vast majority of businesses are going to fail. It is not easy. Like I said in the beginning, it is not easy to start your own business.
No, it's really not. You also lose whatever potential career growth you would have if you had stayed in that position. So, maybe if you were on that trajectory, you could have gotten into management if you stayed on with that company. So it is certainly.
Or if you're in management, you could have, worked your way up, that corporate ladder and 15 steps into the
And by
C-suite.
walking away, you do walk away from whatever potential you have.
Another thing is that that people fear the income loss potential, right? So
that's real.
If you're working a corporate job and you all of a sudden decide, I want to start my own business, you're not going to make the same amount of money most typically. Hypothetically, even if you were just, had a fast food job and you decide you want to start your own landscaping business, there's a big step there. You're not going to have that same consistent income every week. There could be some pretty massive swings. Yeah,
especially, so many businesses, and it doesn't really matter what kind of business it is, so many businesses are seasonal. There's the ebbs and flows in I would say most businesses. Even when I was in hospice, there were spikes that we knew were going to happen during the holidays. Families around, they see the changes in their loved one, and then they contact hospice. So we had those big spikes during holidays. So all businesses are going to have those spikes and those drops. So having that consistency of a paycheck every week that is going to be the same.
It's important.
It's hard to walk away from that security.
Right. So again, there is a sense of security surrounding corporate work. They're going to make sure that there's food on your table.
Until they
at least in theory. So, another thing is that, you can't start your own business because you don't have any money. You don't have a business loan, right? So there's a lot of different things around that capital allocation that you need to get a business started. So we're definitely going to talk about that this week. I think we're going to talk about debt, starting up a business, planning a business tomorrow. And then we're going to get into some of the other stuff. You know, one of the things that we talk about is how do you replace those corporate benefits? Because there's a lot that goes.
Well, that was one of the biggest ones that we were told over and over and over again was you can't leave a corporate job because then you don't have benefits. You know, you don't have health insurance, you don't have life insurance, you don't have 401k, you don't have this, you don't have that. Like those are all very valid points. They're not real.
Yeah, I've got a list of benefits that employers provide: healthcare, dental, optical, life insurance, short-term disability, long-term disability, unemployment insurance, 401k and retirement planning services. There's another type of pension plans. Mm-hmm. You know, there's so
stock
many
buy-ins. Right.
There are so many different options, different tools that businesses use to keep you there. Mm-hmm. And they're telling you that you can't do this on your own.
Right.
And we've done it all on our own. So we know it's possible. We're going to talk you through the process on how we did some of that. Mm-hmm. So that if you are a full-time reseller and you're not getting covered on some of these benefits, we could probably give you some direction as to how to get that taken care of. And if you're considering starting your own business, you know, this is maybe a shortcut for you. You don't have to stumble through it like we did, trying to figure out what to do, because we've already been there. We've already done it.
I would say that is probably the biggest thing in my head when it came time to starting our own business was that fear of the unknown. You know, the fact that like when you work for corporate, you have a boss who's going to be telling you what to do. They've already got the things figured out, or they've got their think tank and they've got policies, they've got procedures, they know what to do, or at least they're going to pretend like they do. When you have your own business, you have to make every single decision. Right. You have to create
all
of your policies and procedures and everything. Like that's
right. You have to decide what your business is going to look like. And, you know, we have a reselling business and we've been doing this for 4.5 years full time. And, you know, so some of those things that we've had to discover on our own. What are you going to sell if you're going to have a reselling business? There's lots of people out there that are perfectly happy selling whatever they find. There's other people that are very targeted and they say, I'm selling, you know, a specific era of a toy or a specific brand of a product. There's people that are out there that are sourcing for different platforms. So there's a lot of planning that goes into this. And when you just let it happen accidentally, you can't accidentally fall into a business. We were talking about this morning before we started the video, and that, you know, there's a lot of people out there that accidentally ended up in a career. Mm-hmm. And I know that sounds crazy in this era where, you know, people go to college and they get degrees, or maybe they went to a trade school and they developed a trade. But my personal experience is that I did go to a trade school and develop a trade. And then the first thing I did when I got out of school is I applied at a retailer. I did not intend to work at the retailer for a decade or more, two decades. Yeah. You know, my intention was to just to work there till I got another job, and then complacency and that connection to the money, that false sense of security, you know, all of that started, you know, tying in, and before you know it, time's passing and you're not moving towards your goals. You know, you don't accidentally fall into a business.
Right.
You know, it's something that takes work and planning,
so much
and
intention. And like every step of it is planning and commitment. And, you know, it's a lot, which is, again, why people are so fearful, is because it can be very overwhelming if you just step back and you're like, okay, well, let's write all the steps to starting a business.
Right. And so that's kind of what we were talking about this morning is I'm already 4 pages deep on this, and we don't even have a full list of all of the stuff that you've got to plan out. It is quite overwhelming if you're working your corporate job, thinking about how do I start? Where do I begin? You know, the reselling world is a little bit different when it comes to starting your own business. So, you know, I like to talk about landscaping, and that if you wanted to become a landscaper, you'd need to have licensing, you need to have bonding and insurance, and you need to have equipment and vehicles and
customers.
And customer, right? You have to have accounts. If you want to go and mow lawns, you need to have accounts. We sell primarily on eBay, and eBay brings us the customer. You know, we talk about our equipment and the fact that we were able to start this business with minimal levels of equipment. And so we'll be talking about equipment, planning, licensing,
on the days to come,
tax planning tomorrow, because again, there is a lot that needs to be considered. You know, your employer is going to pay your taxes for you.
Yeah,
that's a lot of people don't even think about that your employer is paying your taxes. That's something we have to do when we're self-employed. So I think that's where I'm going to leave it today, and we'll start talking about it a little bit more in depth tomorrow. But there is certainly a lot of stuff, a lot of fear surrounding.
And I think that having other people reinforce those fears is very strong. You know, when we've talked about any of the changes that we've made in our lives, whether it was stepping back from management, whether it was from, you know, when I quit my job to take care of the kids, when like there were so many things, when you bought the house, you know, when we decided to move out of state, every single big decision that you're going to make in your life, you will have people who love and care about you tell you what a bad idea that is. You know, I mean, even like getting married and, you know, all of the things that I'm sure that you had people who loved you told you not to marry me because I had a kid already, or well, that's good.
I didn't. But you know, I mean, anyone who's met you couldn't help but tell me that was the right decision. So I was very fortunate with regard to that. But there are a lot of naysayers, and with regard to anything. But they mean well.
Like they really do love you, and
for the most part, there are people that don't like us too, and that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay. They can leave a comment down below.
But it is important that you're able to really look inside and be confident and comfortable enough to be able to take the things that they're saying to you and recognize it's coming from a place of love or not. And that's important too, that you can be like, well, if I wouldn't respect their choices, then why would I take what they're telling me to heart, you know? Yeah. But I would say the hardest ones are the people that love you, you know, and they really want what's best for you. And they're telling you, oh, wow, you're being really dumb. Like, don't do that. You can't do that. You can't, you know, and that's really hard to get past.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've heard, like, if you wouldn't pay the person for their advice, then
you probably shouldn't take it for free.
Yeah. I like that saying. I don't know exactly how it goes, but I really like that, in that, you know, we all have different perspectives and we all have different life experiences. And if you want to know how to start your own business, talk to people who have started their own business.
Right.
Most of us surround ourselves with with our coworkers. I mean, the reality is that once you hit a certain point, once you hit about 25 years old, the majority of the time that you spend is the people that you work with.
Yeah.
And so if you're working a corporate job, most of the people that are at that
corporate job, that's all they know too.
Only know how to work corporate jobs. And another thing that, you know, we didn't really talk about is school and education. And schools are developing students to become corporate workers.
Yeah.
They're not typically training you in accounting. They're not training you in licensing. They're not training you in insurance. They're not training you in any of the skill sets that you need.
And even thinking outside the box and coming up with solutions to some problems. You know, you're not being trained to come up with solutions. You're being trained to do what you're told and to do more homework and to do extra homework when you get home, and you know, so that you can work overtime, and that's just part of your normal daily work, you know.
Right. So it's going to be a big week. I hope that you guys will join us. Like I said, we're gonna try to work through all of these fears and all of these uncertainties and unknowns, and help you unpack, for anyone who's in the process of starting
even just thinking about it,
their own eBay business, or who's thinking about leaving their job.
Yeah.
And
or somebody who has done it and they're going, you know, well, maybe I need a little more answers and a little more support. And you know, when you have other people in that are like-minded, it really does help to get past some of your own fears. If you're able to go, oh, well, you know, they've done it and they did succeed. You know, it's nice to have some hope that it can be done.
Right. Absolutely. So thank you for stopping in. Please like and subscribe, and make sure you check out the next 3 videos that we're going to have this week, so that you can kind of keep up with where we're at with all of these different steps. And good luck to you guys out there.
Thanks so much.